What's up, everyone? The time has come. In this video, we're going to be walking you through designing your wedding venue. I have Joe Valley with Valley Productions. Joe has been doing weddings with me for the last few years. He's now started his own wedding business. It's going very successfully. And Joe has been helping behind the scenes in a lot of wedding everything. So he's actually going to be stepping in and teaching some of these next lessons. So welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you, Brad. That's right, everybody. This is one of the most exciting parts when it comes to planning a wedding. This is where you get to be the most creative and bring some of those ideas to life. So let's get started.
First things first, let's talk about when you'll want to start the design process. There are a few things that rely on this being done first, so I'd recommend you start designing the layout of your venue around 6 to 8 months prior to the wedding.
That way, you'll have plenty of time to order everything you need, organize things how you'd like, and make changes you might need to. This also gives you plenty of time to finalize and rehearse these details with your vendors.
So this will be where you'll consider things such as the number of guests, the overall atmosphere, and any practical features that you might need, such as a tent, heaters, a power setup, and any accessibility options for your guests.
The first place we'd recommend starting would be to consult your venue. Depending on what type of venue you have booked, most places will be able to provide you with the floor plan. This will give you a two-dimensional overview of how the space is going to be utilized based on what previous couples have done there. This is going to be a great place for you to start.
Yeah, but if you've got more of a DIY styled venue, or you'll be hosting your reception like under a tent, then building a rough floor plan to yourself shouldn't be too complicated. In a lot of cases, many tent rental companies will automatically provide you with one along with a few potential design templates to help guide you. These will be super helpful to help you getting started.
And once you've got a general layout of what space you'll have to work with, we'd recommend sitting down with either the venue, your coordinator, or your planner to organize where you'd like things to go.
Not only that, but a lot of venues will also include things like tables, chairs, and other essential items that you might be using to help build out the space. So this will be the time to get a list of exactly what you'll have made available to you.
Yep, so I'd say to start your design by using whatever resources are already included at first. If you then need something that's not provided, let's make a list of everything you'll need to buy, but don't order anything yet. We'll get to that.
Next, you'll want to find out what options the venue has set up for power. Don't just assume this is always included, because some places may not have the ability to run power to your ceremony site. That means if you're planning on having a DJ play music for the ceremony, you'll need to make sure that they have a dedicated power source to run their equipment.
And if they don't, the only other option would be for them to use a battery powered setup or to run a generator, which, believe it or not, we've seen happen a few times.
Yeah, and nothing quite kills the vibe of your ceremony like hearing a gas engine generator running in the background.
So just assume that you'll need to run power to each of the places you'll be, and discuss that with the venue in advance. That means power from the ceremony area, the space where you'll be hosting cocktail hour, and your reception.
So let's talk about what each of these places may need when it comes to essential designs, starting with the ceremony space. Now, the first item being the arbor, which is essentially just a fixture at the front of the ceremony space, right where the couple would stand. As far as what this may look like, almost every wedding is different. Some of the people decorate with wooden posts, whereas others may use archways that they create or stand under a huppah. It's entirely up to your preference, but I'd recommend going with whatever the venue provides in order to remain cost effective. Then from there, you can always personalize things a little bit further with a floral design.
The second thing you'll need will be chairs for your guests. Luckily, most venues just provide these themselves and will have plenty for your guests to use. If you're hosting your own wedding, however, it's probably best to just go with a rental company for these as opposed to buying them yourself.
I've also seen couples use things like hay bales, wooden benches, even chairs from garage sales to get that DIY look. Just remember, anywhere you can trim your budget, you're going to have even more flexibility in any other area that matters.
Next thing will be create a space for your music. Whether you have a DJ, a band, or a single musician, they'll all need a space to sit and have access to power. But you'll also want to make sure they're sitting in a good spot to be able to see the bride walking down the aisle. Most of the time, they'll need to play different music according to the cues. So, being able to see the processional line clearly is going to be very important for them. I recommend having them be in one of two places. First, being up at the front off to the side, I'd recommend this spot if you got a musician or somebody live performing, so all your guests can see them clearly. Otherwise, if you just got a DJ, I put them off to the back on the side. Just make sure that they're not in the way or obstructing anything so everybody can view the bridal party while they're walking in.
Once you've got all of the big stuff situated, all that's left would be to add any personalized decor or accessories you had in mind. This could be anything from adding special signs to beverage tables, maybe even a blanket station for those chilly fall weddings. Or maybe you get those little portable fans with some sunglasses for those bright, hot summer days.
The last thing you want to think about are the accessibility essentials you might need, especially if someone who's attending will be in a wheelchair or in a walker. I just recommend you discuss this in advance with your coordinator. Make sure that these individuals know where they can go before the ceremony starts.
So that should cover just about everything you need to know for the ceremony area. Anything else would just be whatever decor you might want to add. I personally think that the added decor is really what sets your space apart. So think about implementing floral arrangement on your arbor, decorating your chairs, maybe adding a few pictures to the mix of decorations at the ceremony site. And with that being said, let's move on to cocktail hour.
All right, so cocktail hour is where your guests will be between the ceremony and the reception. It's called cocktail hour because it's where the bar will first open up and begin serving drinks to your guests and appetizers. And it's typically for an hour or so before dinner when the bride and groom are off getting their pictures taken.
And most venues will actually have a dedicated space for this, which is ideal. This keeps the guests out of the reception space and gives vendors time to break down and set up what they need prior to the grand entrance. That could mean moving speakers, setting up lights, testing audio, and even in some cases, even moving the chairs from the ceremony space to the reception space in the event that they're both being used in each spaces. So, if you're designing your own place, make sure to account for this.
So, your typical cocktail hour space will have a few things. The bar being the first one, and probably the most obvious. This is where your guests will be ordering their drinks and catching up with one another. As a good rule of thumb, we recommend having at least 2 bartenders on site. Most people will want a drink or two while this is going on, and if you have 75 guests, that line could get out of hand really quick.
Yeah, and the second amenity would be your appetizer station. Now, this is normally a table or two containing a variety of finger foods for guests to munch on while having their drinks. This could be anything from cheese and crackers to veggies and dips, bacon-covered scallops, and everything in between. So a lot of the time, venues will also have dedicated runners to serve guests those signature appetizers as well.
A lot of venues will also have some activity spaces such as fire pits, high top tables, and yard games for guests to entertain themselves while they wait for dinner. Depending on what the venue already includes, you'll likely need to supply a lot of these yourself. I'd also see if there are any tables or chairs provided for the space by your venue.
It's also pretty common to see live music playing in these spaces, so like we mentioned before, you'll need to make sure that your DJ or your band have power access. That should just about cover everything you need for cocktail hour, unless I'm missing something.
Oh, bathrooms.
Bathrooms. Right, people always forget about the bathrooms. Make sure that you've got a restroom accessible for your guests. This may seem like a no-brainer if you've already got a dedicated venue space, but for most couples who are using a tent, in the backyard, or one of those out-in-the-field rural weddings, bathrooms may be an extra step that you need to consider. And I hate to use the word porta potty because it does really have such a negative connotation to it, but there's actually a lot of really, really nice bathroom options out there. I'm talking full trailers with multiple stalls, flushable toilets, sinks for freshening up, and even those cute little soaps and perfumes that you sometimes see. So bathrooms.
All right, so the last area we need to discuss is the reception space. There's going to be a lot happening here, so we need to place the bigger items first. Starting with the DJ in the dance floor. This is where your guests are going to be spending the majority of the night celebrating, and we want to make sure we give them plenty of space. It's a good idea to start by placing the DJ table in an area that has power and a healthy distance to any immediate guests.
Especially any elderly ones.
Those speakers are going to get pretty loud, so we want to avoid the situation where they're just blasting one table. Instead, we want to project the speakers to a dance floor evenly.
So you should also consider where the DJ's lighting will be set up. If you've got the DJ hidden off away from the dance floor, crazy, I know, but some people actually do it. When it comes time to use that lighting later in the evening, they won't be able to reach the dance floor. So an easy solution is this. Just do your best to give your DJ one whole side of that dance floor.
Once you've got that set up, next will be to place your sweetheart table. This is the smallest table where the couple will be seating, but traditionally it's placed in a spot that stands out and might be the central focus of the room. As the couples are the focal point of the whole day, giving them a unique table will help them stand out as we eliminate all the visual distractions around them.
This is also really helpful when it comes time for speeches and toasts as well. A lot of the time we'll have a person speaking stand to one side of the sweetheart table so that they can address both the couple directly as well as all of the guests in the audience. But if you instead place your sweetheart table in the middle surrounded by all these other people, it makes it a lot more challenging to get a good photo and video without an obstructed view.
However, that's ultimately up to you. A lot of couples choose to mix their bridal party seating with their guests so they can sit with their spouses or any other people they know. You may choose to give the bridal party their own table. If that's the case, these will be the biggest tables, so it's best to make this space next.
Next would be to place all of your guest tables. Now, at this point, we've got a pretty good general idea of how many guests we're inviting and roughly how many we're expecting at this point. So this number will definitely still change regardless. Better to aim on the high end when you're counting your tables and organizing your space. We can always remove tables and chairs far more easily than adding.
Speaking of space, make sure you add plenty in between each person's seat at the table. People will be going back and forth between the dance floor throughout the evening, so we don't want to make anybody as trapped into their seat.
Not only that, you'll also want to leave plenty of room for the servers and the vendors to navigate between tables, since they will absolutely be needing to. And don't worry about who's sitting where just yet, we're going to get to that down the line. For now, just get an idea of how many tables and chairs you need and where you'll anticipate placing them.
It's also a good idea to have dedicated tables for your vendors to sit, since they'll be eating as well. This doesn't necessarily have to be in the same space as your guests, but it's always a nice gesture. Otherwise, most venues will have a private space set aside for vendors to unpack their equipment and eat their dinner. Just make sure to include them in the total count for your meals.
Once you've got all those essential tables placed and spaced out well, you'll want to consider any miscellaneous tables you might want to add to your space. A lot of couples end up adding tables for things like catering equipment, dessert stations, wedding favors, even a place for guests to leave gifts for the couple. Whatever you're planning on including, make sure you've got the space to accommodate it.
And if the space is too limited for you to fit everything, you can always split those up bit by bit and leave some space for those miscellaneous tables in the cocktail hour area. This will give you more room to space out your tables as well as give your guests some things to do during cocktail hours.
Not only that, plenty of guests who bring cards or gifts for the couple will want a place to put those down when they first arrive there anyways. So I'd even recommend doing the same thing if you plan on adding a photo booth or a backdrop for your guests to take pictures at, because these can easily take up a lot of room. So wherever you've got the most space available would be ideal.
That should pretty much cover all the essentials you need for designing your venue. Once you have all the larger items in place, it's a much easier time to count for what you need on glassware, silverware, flatware, and anything else you might be adding to those tables. In the next video, we're going to be walking you through all the more detailed designs such as floral arrangements, centerpieces, lighting, signage, and any other decor you might need. In the meantime though, if you have any questions about what we covered in this video, feel free to post them right in our private Facebook group or email us directly at support@wedeverything.com.
And we'll see you in the next video.
I was gonna say that.
I'd be good.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our channel right here, and we will see you in the next video.